In today's episode, we are covering how to scale a B2B sales offer, whether that is a product or a service, without breaking fulfillment. The truth is this: if your operations cannot keep up with the rate that you are selling, then you are not only scaling your company, but you are scaling yourself into a whirlwind of refunds and churn. And trust me from experience, that is not a fun place to be in. If you're new to the show, welcome. My name is Dylan Starr, and I want to tell you the story about how I worked with an entrepreneur by the name of Jason Capital. Jason Capital had made over $75 million in B2C sales, meaning he was selling courses and education stuff online for 14 years. And he finally wanted to go and create a brand new B2B offer completely from scratch. And that is exactly what we did. We not only created a new offer from scratch, but we went from 0 to 1.4 million in revenue within the first 4 months. Okay. Completely from scratch. And we did this with what I like to call my inception closing system. Now, you can go back to the previous episodes, and I have an entire episode breaking down what the inception closing system is and how you can go and leverage it for your own business if you are in B2B. So highly recommend checking that out. Now, there is a downside to this system. And the downside is exactly what is in Jason's testimonial to me. And he says, your sales process worked so well and fast that it actually broke my business. And that is actually what ended up happening. It was a great learning lesson. And that lesson was this: it is very possible to scale too fast. Now, I know from the viewers and everyone listening that 0 to 1.4 million in 4 months is very sexy. It sounds enticing. But on the opposite side of that, the reality is it was too much too quickly. And if I could go back in time, I would have rather stretched that out over an 8 to 12 month period and really dialed in operations instead of having to go and dial in operations later after everything was broken. One equals less stress and the other one was absolute chaos. But hey, we figured it out. And in today's episode, I'm going to be covering everything about it to share with you what we learned along the way so that you can avoid those mistakes and literally put in the same timeline that we did to go and fix it. So I'm very, very excited for this episode. And the reality is this: the dirty secret of B2B scaling is that fast sales growth without strong operations does equal a churn machine. Okay. You're not scaling a business. You're actually building a revolving door, and you must have the right processes in place for that door to actually operate. Okay, let's get into it. Here's everything that we're going to cover in today's episode. Number one, how to scale B2B sales without your delivery actually failing. These are the fundamental principles that are going to keep your growth completely sustainable over time. Number two, the sales ops alignment model. This is my proven framework that we use with every single client that is trying to scale. And finally, number three, my 3-question fulfillment readiness test. These are the exact questions you're going to want to go and ask yourself in your business to answer correctly and honestly to know if it is time to actually add gasoline to the fire. You do not want to pour gas on the fire if you're not ready. Okay, let's get into it. I want to talk about scaling without a safety net. This is the harsh reality. Sales teams can very much close deals faster than operations can keep up. And what happens is you sell too much and the value of your operations team can't keep up with the clientele that's coming through. So if value goes down over time and they can't keep up, as you can imagine, reps get very dissatisfied and they can start asking for refunds and they can also churn. And so, of course, we want to avoid this at all costs. Now, when this gap widens, here are the 3 things that you will notice that will happen consistently. I know this from experience because this is exactly what we noticed. Number one, onboarding becomes a manual nightmare that can take weeks instead of days. And if someone's going and they're paying you money, especially a high ticket premium price, you do not want your client having to wait weeks to go and be onboarded. You want it to be a very fast experience because your client is judging this entire experience that they have from the moment they pay you money. So as soon as money is handed off in transaction, boom, client is going to go ahead and have a perspective of their experience with you. And it starts as soon as the handoff happens. Number two, clients will start to go radio silent after paying because they end up being stuck in delivery limbo. If you're watching this right now and you don't have a team helping you with delivery and it's just you as the founder and business owner, and you know without a shadow of a doubt that you can't go and keep up, then now is the time to go ahead and start thinking about documenting processes, which we'll get into later, and also hiring help so that you can get delivery completely dialed in. And then number 3, the worst part of everything, the most scariest position to be in is when refund requests start trickling in, right? And then once it starts, later on, as you keep selling, it becomes a flood and it becomes very, very stressful. It becomes difficult to deal with. It is not a fun position to be in, right? And unfortunately, myself and Jason Capital had to learn this the hard way because his sales process was so effective that it completely overwhelmed our fulfillment capacity, like entirely. So imagine having one of the best copywriters and marketing people in the world marketing and myself, who's very, very good at sales process and hiring, recruiting, and training sales teams combined. So when you have world-class marketing and world-class sales, but you don't have a world-class operator in place, as you can imagine, that's not a very good recipe. But it's okay. I'm grateful for that experience because if I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't be able to share with you what I've learned here on today's episode. All right. So the entire foundation for this is making sure that your sales and your delivery are completely aligned. Now, your sales team should only be promising whatever your operations can deliver on. This isn't about under-promising. It's about having operational integrity. And what's interesting is once this clicks, and if you do have a sales team in place, you're going to find that you not only build trust from your prospects, but they actually respect you for it. Because look on the other side, look on the opposite end. All your competitors in these other companies are overpromising what they are saying to people. So when you're the actual person who's just brutally honest and says, hey, this is our process. This is why it's our process. And we want to make sure that the process is correct so that you can get results. While everyone else is just over promising them, they're going to want to work with you because you're the one who's actually telling them the truth while everybody else is just selling them on a dream. Don't be the one that sells them on the dream. Leverage how long it's going to take and whatever your process is to your advantage to earn the trust of your prospects. And I promise you, you will be super surprised about how different it is in your onboarding experience and how much better quality people you get by deterring the ones who did want you to sell the dream. In fact, when it comes to qualifying your process, you only want qualified people who are aligned with expectations, right? Instead of people who don't have real expectations or wanting everything fast, right? Avoid those type of people like the plague. So how do we actually implement this? There's 4 ways, okay? Number 1, you're going to want to build a pre-close checklist that your reps can actually use to complete before closing the deal. Have everything laid out for whatever that checklist needs to be on who is qualified, what does it look like for them to be qualified, why does it look that way? Really think this through and develop a checklist. Number 2, you're going to want an automated delivery handoff in Slack or your CRM, whatever that handoff is, whatever you use, you want to have this within the first 30 minutes because as I said earlier here, they are automatically judging their experience from the time that they pay you money. So the faster this handoff happens, the better. Number 3, specific timelines, not vague. If you're giving somebody, let's say, portal access, don't say you're going to have portal access soon, or don't say, hey, XYZ is going to happen soon. Give them a specific timeline. If it's going to be 24 hours, then say 24 hours. If it's going to be 6 hours, tell them 6 hours. Really map all of this stuff out. Okay. Now, when it comes to the timelines, whatever those hours are and this checklist, here's the cool part. Not only is this going to help you with the operational side, but your sales reps actually can go and use this checklist and use the timelines to help push the deal over because every prospect is already thinking the same thing. And that's, what am I supposed to expect from this experience? So we were able to not only fix the operational issues, but we were also able to leverage what we created to help push over deals because timeline was everything. The only thing going through prospects' mind were, okay, well, for the moment I pay money for this, I understand it's X amount, but what's going to happen next? And when we had this process in place, all of a sudden we just laid out the red carpet and let them know like, hey, here's what to expect. Here's specific timelines. And here's the checklist of everything that's going to happen. And also here's the checklist of who this is a good fit for. This is why I'm asking you all these questions. Everything just clicks in their brain. They're like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. And it builds trust and rapport with the prospect. So double whammy having this in place. Okay. And then finally, this is super, super important. Adding a weekly sync meeting for your sales team and your operations team. This is so that you can address any bottlenecks that you weren't aware of. The goal of these meetings, when we put these in place, were to simply see what clients are coming to us that are dissatisfied. Who got results? Who didn't get results? Well, why? What are the expectations that are being set by the sales rep versus what is being set by the person doing the onboarding? Are those expectations aligning? So what I mean by that is the sales rep saying one thing, but then the client is hopping on a call with whoever is doing the onboarding and there's a complete mismatch. Your goal throughout this entire process is to get complete alignment so that exactly what is being said by the sales rep is being matched by what is being said through the onboarding experience. So that way there is no disconnect. What you'll end up finding for people that don't review this and that don't have these sync meetings, it's pretty funny. You'll start to realize, oh, no wonder people are hopping on with my client success managers and they're being told this, this, and this, but then realizing that, oh, well, I didn't even know that that was the case. I thought it was something completely different because sales rep was telling this, this, and that. And alignment is everything when it comes to process. So when you can figure out where there's misalignment, it's going to make your life 10 times easier to go ahead and figure out knowing what to solve as far as expectations go. And I like to explain expectations as the main selling point for B2B, right? When I think B2C sales, I think the identity of the prospect, because identity is everything. Because in B2C, there's a lot of execution and things that the people have to do themselves. But in B2B, especially if you're offering done for you or any type of services, it's not really work that needs to be done from the business owner. It's more so what are the expectations that we need to get them aligned with so that we are completely on the same page. So B2B is more expectations. B2C is more like identity. Once you have all four of those in place, now it's time to go into the 3-question fulfillment readiness test. Super important. Please answer these honestly. Be brutally honest with yourself. Do not rush this. Question number 1. Can onboarding handle 2 new clients this week without you, the founder, being involved in the process? I mean, being involved at all, okay? If you are personally involved in every part of the client setup, then you are the actual bottleneck. And it's very, very hard to scale if you, the founder, are the bottleneck, right? Now, you're going to want to document everything, document all your processes, and create any templates that you can use and leverage to train your team on this process. So if you cannot handle 10 new clients right away this week without you being involved, then you're not ready yet. Going into question number 2, can you track all client outcomes in 10 minutes or less? This is super important. You want to have real-time visibility into your client progress. Let me say that again. Real-time visibility. And if it takes hours to understand where your client is at, then you're going to lose control very, very fast. And what we ended up coming up with, shout out to my mentor, Sharon, who is now partnered with Hermosi on acquisition.com. We were able to go and have a conversation with him who has experience not only scaling, but taking companies to the billions with a B. And he taught us an amazing color code system that literally changed the game for us in terms of tracking. And it's very simple. It's just red, yellow, green. And we started tracking every single client and listing out whatever traits or whatever things with that client that needed to be in place or outcomes. It could be anything. What would it look like for a client to be in good standing? What would it look like for a client to be a green? Again, this is all real time. And so we listed out all the things that would make a client green. Now, green means client is not only happy, but client is on track to get results and stick with the company long term. So if you have a continuity offer or you have an upsell, that means green is very, very high likely to upsell. Okay. Yellow is what starts putting this prospect or client at risk. What things would be a red flag that we would want to look out for that could put them on alert to become red in the future. So they're not quite red yet, but they are in yellow. What kind of red flags would that be? What are the warning signs? And we dial this down to things like not responding to communications in Slack. Let's say you have client success managers in place who are reaching out to your done for you clients and you're keeping communication, but you go to do a progress check on the client and then 72 hours goes by and you realize that, hey, this client actually hasn't responded. Cool. That would be an indicator that this client just went from green, non-responsive, down into yellow. And so now your yellows will go and build out. And then finally, red. Red, self-explanatory. Red is not good. Red is very, very bad. When a client hits red, that means all focus and time and attention needs to be into that client because you want to get a client back into yellow and in green as fast as humanly possible, because red are flight risks for actually refunding and churn. Now, I'm telling you guys, this system was such a game changer. And of course, it took learning from a billionaire to teach this, and just made everything so much easier because now your entire team knows what to focus on. You know who to pour into, and you can actually start hiring and setting metrics in place for whoever your client success managers are going to be, to where you have an 80%, let's say that's the KPI you want in place, 80% green. So now we know the expectation. So let's say you hire 5 people who are in charge of onboarding and working with your clients. Okay, cool. Out of those 5 people, see how much easier it is to actually rate how well they are doing. If there's 5 people, and I noticed that 3 of them have super, super high greens and they're well over 80%, but one of them is like higher red and another one has a little bit of green, a little bit of red, but also a lot of yellows. What's the difference? You can easily go and rate how productive they are being, how efficient they are being with their time, and who's doing what differently to know when to step in and how to help them fix what's going on with the clients and what to measure and how to train them better and accordingly. I promise you, when you have multiple people on the team and you have 1 to 2 people who are all greens with the clients across the board, they're doing something that the other people aren't doing. And whenever you figure out what that is, you're going to have a light bulb aha moment and know, oh, we should probably train everyone on the back end to be doing these things, because that's what it takes to keep somebody in green. The longer they stay in green, the longer they stay with the company. The longer they stay with the company, the long-term value is going to increase and you are going to be a profitable machine. Okay. Third and final question. Do you have a triage system in place for multiple urgent requests? Very, very simple. Think about it this way. If 3 clients were to come to you right now and they all need help, would this be a calm experience or would it just create absolute chaos in your organization? And what is going to determine this is whatever system and process you have in place. So make sure you are streamlining your process to where all of your current clients can reach out for help, whether that's support tickets, whether that's outreach in Slack, whatever it is that streamlined enough to where if they did come to you for help, you know that you can respond and help them accordingly without everything breaking out into chaos. Okay. Those are the 3 things, and you want to be able to answer all of these. And if any one of these are no, then you are not ready to add fuel to the fire. You're not ready to continuously sell and scale. And again, trust me, I am saying this from absolute personal experience. I wish I knew these things in advance because we did sell too much too fast. So what does that timeline actually look like? We're going to get to that very, very soon. But first, let's go into the mindset that you are going to need as a founder before going into timeline, because this is super, super important. If I don't reframe your perspective on the mindset you need to have, then I am setting you up for failure. And the mindset that you want to have, number 1, is this: scale does not equal speed. You do not want speed to be the factor that you are rating for scale. Fast growth on a weak foundation will not only collapse, but it will cost you tons and tons of money. It is a very expensive game to play. Mindset number 2. Pipeline growth equals your fulfillment capacity. Your sales pipeline can only grow as fast as your fulfillment can support it. Pretty self-explanatory. And finally, mindset number 3. Strong sales plus weak ops equals a churn and burn machine. You are not building a business. You are building a revolving door that burns through customers and reputation. Think of it more as a system and not so much as a business. Okay, timeline. Here's the actual breakdown of what we had to do to go and rebuild the entire infrastructure of operations. And as painful as it was in terms of timeline, we knew that we were never going to be able to fix the bottleneck if we didn't turn off the faucet. So if you have an operations issue, it is super, super important that you don't just keep selling. This was the hardest pill to swallow. And for us, and I'm sure for any organization, and that is actually stopping booking appointments and stop selling. I know it's tough. I know it's hard, but you will never fix it if you don't put a pause on new sales. So that's exactly what we did. And in the first 1 to 2 weeks, we paused new sales and we created a client status dashboard, which I've already explained earlier. This dashboard had those color systems that I was telling you about. So that's a huge gold nugget that I'm just super excited to share in this episode. And then, of course, we went and hired 2 fulfillment specialists. So we knew we needed help on fulfillment. We hired them, we put in the dashboard, and we knew that we were about to go and transition to training. That was all within the first 1 to 2 weeks. Weeks 3 and 4, this is all about process documentation. You want to map out every single step of your client journey, and you want to create templates and automated handoffs for that. Now, when I say map out, I mean be super, super specific. Put yourselves in the client's shoes and map out a timeline. If you have a 6-month program, you're going to want to map out the entire 6 months. If you have a 90-day program and offer, you're going to want to map out everything down to the day, down to the week, down to the checkpoints of what must be completed. And then the name of the game when you're documenting this is think about if you were to hold that prospect's hand and walk them through that entire journey, in what time would you expect them to get to these checkpoints? But more importantly, what do you think would stop them from getting to those checkpoints? That's super, super important. Now, does this entire journey have to be perfect? No, of course not. This is why you're going to go through the testing phase and you're going to be able to go and make tweaks to the journey as it goes. But you need somewhere to start. That's why this is week 3 to 4, and it's why it takes time. And finally, weeks 5 and 6. This is all about testing the system of the entire journey that you mapped out. So you're going to want to run what I call a fulfillment readiness test. This is done through existing clients, okay? Not new clients. I did not say go and sell new people and put them through. Take your existing clients that you have right now and run them through the new system because they are already your clients and you want your clients to get results, right? I would hope the answer to that would be yes. Great. And trust me, if you're nervous about it or you're making changes, don't be afraid to be open and honest with your clients. I promise you, they're not going to care. They're going to be so excited knowing that you're testing something new and you're trying to revise a new process that is in their benefit and they get to be the guinea pig. They're going to be like, heck yes. So if you're scared, don't be. I promise you, have a conversation with your existing clients. They're going to love you for this. And finally, week 7 and beyond. This is where you get to finally resume sales, okay? You want to have capacity-based targets where you're going to limit the amount of sales you're going through. It is resumed, but you are still limiting it. You don't want to go beyond your test threshold of what you want to limit. If that's 3 to 5 in a week, you get to that 3 to 5 week and you just kind of put things on pause. So you're going to ease into it. And then you want to do this and see, can you maintain a 95% client satisfaction rate while enrolling 3 to 5 people? Let me say it again. You're going to ease into it after 7+ weeks, sell new people after you already know the process is good for your existing clients. Can you take these very few people you just sold, put them through this new process and maintain a 95% client satisfaction? If the answer is yes, then congratulations. You have a dialed in process. Now you can crank it up even more. And you're going to keep cranking and revising this entire system and process as you grow and scale to the point where you break it. And you know what? It's okay to break it. But what's not okay is to oversell on day 1 and break it on day 1 and then never fix it. That is going to lead to absolute disaster. So next steps. If you're listening to this, what can you do next? So immediate actions. First, take the 3-question fulfillment readiness test today. Go through the 3 questions. Then document your current client onboarding process. Document everything that you're doing right now today. Just go ahead and knock it out. Next, schedule weekly sales ops alignment meetings right away. So if you have an operation team and you have a sales team, go ahead and get them on board now. Don't wait till later. Go ahead and start implementing this right now. And finally, create a capacity-based sales target. What kind of target can you put in place to make sure that you can handle the capacity of this and maintain a 95% satisfaction guarantee? And next, if you're focused on long-term growth and you want to build a sustainable revenue engine that will grow your business without actually breaking it, then make sure you subscribe to the Sell for Scale show. We're going to cover all of the proven systems that we use to scale with operational strength. And if you like this episode and you are ready to build a sales team that will scale past $100K per month without breaking your offer or your team, then make sure you go back to episode 12, where we cover the complete B2B sales playbook that creates sustainable growth without operational chaos. I know you're going to love it. Catch you guys on the next episode.